Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
This is Mr. Chris Claremont, a legend.
Melanie goes,
Tired.
Happy Monday, all you minties. Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for your advanced look at the Phoenix, the Death and Rebirth of Jean Grey Omnibus, or the Phoenix Omnibus Volume 3 from Marvel Comics. So let's take a look at this book together. And welcome back, everybody. Before going any further, a big thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us an advanced copy of this omnibus. This omnibus is due out in the direct market and book market on September 16th or 17th, depending on where you get your books. And what we are looking at here, because there's two covers, this is the direct market cover. This is the one that is supplied by Jim Lee, and it actually comes from the trading card back in the 90s. On the left-hand side is your standard edition cover that's going to be available everywhere. That one is supplied by Artgerm. And yes, the classic Jean is on the standard edition cover, dust jacket, while the 05 Jean, I think that's what we still call her, is on the direct market dust jacket. Everything underneath the dust jacket is the same. And if that standard edition cover looks familiar to you, it might have been because you've seen it before in an omnibus. Not exactly the same color scheme, but it is by Artgerm. It was in the volume 2 of, I think this is the direct market. So this is volumes 1 and 2, and this technically is volume 3. So let's look at the spines of the books together. We have the Phoenix logo. This time around, instead of a volume 3, it is just called The Death and Rebirth of Jean Grey. And our spine and our Marvel Omnibus logo up there. And then looking at the back of the omnibus here with the textless covers of most of the books that are collected in here. And let's look at the dust jacket. The flaps here. The Dark Phoenix saga was just the beginning. And then the bio on the creators here on the right-hand side with an image of the Phoenix. And speaking of the Phoenix, here it is. The big old Firebird. The spine of the book right there. And then that Firebird again, this time going after other characters. Alright, we are going to crack this omnibus open, talk about where some of the stories have been collected previously, talk about the mapping of the book, and of course give you an idea as to what exactly this book is and how it's collected, and then look at the extras and build. Okay, let's go ahead and get this open. Black end sheet. Surprisingly, I thought they would go with something like red. Phoenix, the Death and Rebirth of Jean Grey. And here is the breakdown of the issues. Not necessarily how it's mapped, because I do want to talk about the mapping, but just giving credit where credit is due, like New X-Men by Grant Morrison, and Igor Corti, and Phil Jimenez, and Mark Silvestri, Greg Pak, and also Jeff Loeb writing some of the stories with Jason Aaron, Brian Michael Bendis, Ed Brubaker, Matt Fraction, Jonathan Hickman, Dennis Hopeless, Cullen Bunn, Matthew Rosenberg, just to name a few of the writers, and then of course artists, like I mentioned, Igor Corti and Phil Jimenez and Mark Silvestri, but also Greg Land and Tyler Kirkham, Ed McGuinness, and oh my gosh, John Romita Jr., Olivia Coipel, and Adam Kubert, and Victor Ibanez, and Lionel Francis Yu and Carlos Pacheco doing some art in here with Joe Bennett and Ramon Rosanas. So this kicks off with New X-Men 128. So collected in here is New X-Men 128, 139 to 141, and 146 to 154. X-Men Phoenix End Song 1 through 5, X-Men Phoenix War Song 1 through 5, Avengers vs. X-Men 0 through 12, Jean Grey, the 2017 series, I don't know why I said that, it's the only Jean Grey series that we've had, issues 1 through 11, so in its entirety, Generations Phoenix and Jean Grey, Phoenix Resurrection, The Return of Jean Grey 1 through 5, and then material from Marvel .1 number 1. The book has a total of 1,352 pages and retails for $150. In order to talk about this book and to do it justice, I do have to talk about these particular times and why they're jumping around. So spoilers in case you haven't read some of this stuff. The book title is called The Death and Rebirth of Jean Grey. I hope I don't have to warn you, but just in case, yeah, spoilers. I'm not going to talk about how exactly she comes back or anything like that, or how she dies. I do want to talk about basically why it's mapped this way. Okay. So for one, yes, New X-Men, if you have that omnibus, you already have the New X-Men issues. If you have the AVX or Avengers vs. X-Men omnibus, you already have the Avengers vs. X-Men stories. Jean Grey has never been collected in any kind of big deluxe edition omnibus format. Neither has the Generations issue, neither has the Phoenix Resurrection Return of Jean Grey, neither has the X-Men Phoenix War Song nor End Song. So that kind of gives you an idea as to how much new stuff is in here in omnibus format. Everything has been collected in trade paperback format or even standard size hardcovers. Grant Morrison starts the idea that perhaps the Phoenix is still out there somewhere and that it's looking for Jean Grey. So we experiment a little bit with that, and they tease us a little bit as to that idea in this issue 128, which is also the Phantom X issue, which is a freaking awesome issue. And I think this meme went viral because people were like, oh, Igor Cordy is a horrible artist. He's a great artist. He was just rushed. He was doing 3 books this particular month. So you can imagine. Now, they do give you a little bit of like a breakdown what happened in between issues. So it does start talking about the affair that Cyclops had. It was a psychic affair with Emma Frost, and it kind of made Jean snap. And when she snaps, it's like she's able to tap into that Phoenix Force. So that idea that the Phoenix Force is coming looking for Jean, well, it's true, apparently, that the Phoenix Force is out there, that it did not die out, that as many times as they try to get rid of it, whether it was Jean or Rachel, who was the second host of the Phoenix, if you saw the Phoenix Omnibus Volume 2 that ended with Excalibur, then the Phoenix Force is still there. It has a murder at the mansion, which is this whole mystery as to who killed Emma Frost. Is she dead for good? No, absolutely not. But it does build up on these other characters and the X-Corps and who truly died. And then, of course, the big reveal, the big betrayal, and the return of another character. And that leads into the Planet X-Men story, where, again, spoilers for the villain in this particular story, but I do have to talk a little bit about it, where Magneto has returned. And he is destroying New York. And he's stopping at nothing. And some of the X-Men are lost. Some of them are missing in action, as you can see. And then he'll have his own team of new X-Men that he picked from the mansion, including some characters that you're like, how would Beak join? That doesn't make sense. You have the return of Toad. This is the Phil Jimenez stuff. But during this time, it's very important to note that both Wolverine and Jean are stuck on Asteroid M. Now, she returned, again, Jean Grey returned in the pages of X-Factor in 1986. And she had died in the pages of Uncanny X-Men 137. So she'd been dead a while. And this is her second death. She gets killed here because she needs to release the Phoenix Force in order to save the day. Now, that, of course, kind of sparks this other story that is called... Here, let's actually get to it because I don't want to show you this ending, but let's... Yes, right here. Here Comes Tomorrow. Grant Morrison's final issues on New X-Men, but also Mark Silvestri joining him, where we have this future where we have characters like Tom Skylark and Ava and other X-Men that are still trying to live that dream, Professor Xavier's dreams. We have a bunch of other characters like Beak through here, but it's the same Beak. We've got Wolverine, this is still Logan, No Girl and Rover, the Sentinel. Oh, and the 3-in-1, which are the Cuckoo Sisters. But in here, the idea is that this Phoenix egg was laid, and perhaps the Phoenix would return one day. And this kind of goes back to the ending of Morrison's run on New X-Men. I'm not going to reveal what happens because I want people to genuinely enjoy these stories, but to kind of give you an idea, that Jean died in those issues of Planet X-Men, or Planet X, I'm sorry. And then in here, the idea is that the Phoenix can live without her, but always needs a host, and she comes looking for Jean. And it's in the future. Now, we jump I don't think it was even a year later, where we have Phoenix End Song. This is written by Greg Pak, and this is basically that same idea, where the Phoenix needs a host, and the host is Jean Grey. And the Phoenix Force comes looking for Jean Grey. However, Jean, during this time, because she sacrificed her life in the pages of Planet X, is dead. So the Phoenix is trying to stop at nothing. If you like Emma Frost, this is some of the best Emma Frost stories in here in these 5 issues alone. I know people love Morrison's stuff in here with Emma. I know her transition into being a good guy happened in Scott Lobdell's Uncanny X-Men, and then, of course, later on, Generation X. But I think this is some of the best written Emma that no one really talks about. Just the way she treats Jean. I think it's beautiful and wonderful, and it's about letting go. And that, the last the last page, I would say the last 4 pages in here, oh my gosh, it wrecks me. I love that ending. Just to see that much love and stuff. And of course, we still have Kid Omega in here trying to no, never mind. I don't want to tell you who he's holding. It's not Jean. I can tell you that much. But you can find out who that is later on. Now, in the next storyline, it's a continuation because we got a little bit of a things to come in the final issue of End Song. So in War Song, it's about how the Phoenix Force, again, attaches itself, this time around, to the 3 Stepford Cuckoos. So they all now have the Phoenix Force. And it's that idea, again, that the Phoenix Force is coming. It's something that you will see later on play a big part in these issues of AVX. But it really starts here, where like the Phoenix Force isn't a force that can just pop like that. Apparently it has to come, and it's coming this time for the 3 Cuckoo Sisters. And of course, things are happening during this particular issues where the X-Men are part of the Astonishing team, and you'll see some new faces that you hadn't seen before. And then we jump to AVX, and of course AVX, by now, some years have passed, and we were introduced to this character of Hope, who was supposed to, no pun intended, restore hope in mutant kind when she was born during the Messiah complex, but then she was taken into the future and became really important. She is now being targeted as the Phoenix host. So the Phoenix is done with Jean Grey, done with the Stepford Cuckoos, and now wants to come to Earth to take over Hope. The Avengers are like, well, that's not going to happen. We're going to take care of that. So Captain America goes during this time. Again, it's a different time of X-Men. And I don't know if they do. I wish they would explain like what different eras they have. Like before the issue starts, they should say, hey, during this time, the X-Men are living in Utopia and Cyclops is leading mutant kind. But anyway, Captain America's like, yo! He didn't say it like that, but you know what I'm saying. Yo, Cyclops! Give us hope. And Cyclops like, get the off my island. Are you kidding me? I'm Cyclops. And they go to war. That's what this 12-issue maxi series is. Cyclops is like, no, you can't take one of our kind. And the Avengers are like, no, we have to protect her, including Wolverine, who's kind of caught in the middle. Like, who do I represent? And of course, really, who is caught in the middle is none other than Hope. And eventually the Phoenix does take over 5 different people known as the Phoenix 5. So you'll have Cyclops, you'll have Colossus, you'll have Magic, Namor, and oh my gosh, Emma in that gorgeous outfit. Things happen through here. I don't want to spoil. There are some big deaths through here. And eventually the Phoenix Force leaves Hope alone. Or does it? And it's done with humans. Or mutants. So then we kick over to Jean Grey #1. For the first time, we have an ongoing series of Jean Grey. It's crazy to me that this didn't happen until 2017. But here we are, Jean Grey #1. This is not the Jean Grey you're reading about. And I love, you have been reading about. I love the way that this is done. It actually does a really good job of introducing you to this character. I'm Jean Grey. Yeah, no, not that Jean Grey. not Phoenix Force, not here. Not the Jean Grey that died, not the Jean Grey. She is the Jean Grey that traveled from the past because of Beast in the pages of All New X-Men to bring her and the rest of the original 5 X-Men, hence why I called her the 05, to the present day to show Cyclops just how much of a jerk he's being. That's it. And they're still stuck here. Even after Bendis ended his run, the original 5 are still stuck during this era. This is Dennis Hopeless writing this particular series. And it just showcases her, first of all, going up against the Wrecking Crew. But the big point of this 11-issue series is that she realizes this young Jean Grey that has traveled from the past has been at trial for something that she didn't even do, not yet, senses that the Phoenix is coming. And it's coming for her. Hey, it's that picture that you saw. So the next few issues this is really cool. She teams up with people that have actually had the Phoenix Force take over them. So she teams up with Rachel, and she teams up with Hope, and a couple of other surprises. She goes training with Psylocke. It's one of my favorite moments. And that's kind of like the first half of this series, is she does all that stuff. She goes and teams up with these people to kind of trained to control this Phoenix Force if ever it was to come. Beautifully placed, so let's talk about the mapping. Beautifully placed in between issues is this Generations Phoenix and Jean Grey. Now, something happens at the end of issue 11 because eventually the Phoenix Force does come. And that's not a big spoiler, I promise. And now the rest of these issues is her fighting the Phoenix Force, along with friends, along with other characters from Earth. And that's what the rest of the series is. Something happens at the very end of issue 11 that I thought, oh man, they're just going to put all this Jean Grey series together, and that last page is going to spoil something, even though the book title will spoil it. But it doesn't matter. It's that big, shocking moment. No. What they did was do the right thing, and after issue 10 of Jean Grey, which it's left on a big cliffhanger, you jump over to the Phoenix Resurrection, the return of Jean Grey. After issue 10. And I thought, okay, they actually put a lot of thought into how to map this. Even though it should be easy to map when you have different eras, different years. But still, they could have totally put all 11 issues of Jean Grey in there and then leave this miniseries for the back. So I'm glad that they left a couple of things in the right place. This isn't a spoiler at all, especially with a title like The Return of Jean Grey, Phoenix Resurrection. It does start off as a weird mystery that I really enjoyed. I thought it was like the final 2 episodes of Quantum Leap, one of my favorite TV shows. That's the way I describe it, because it takes place at this little cafe restaurant, but you don't know exactly what's going on. Lionel Francis Yu doing some amazing artwork in here. It's Matthew Rosenberg that does the story. On the outside, things are just normal. It's the X-Men, and they're sensing something. There's something is going on. While on the inside, perhaps in Jean Grey's head, or perhaps in alternate reality, we have this like little diner that she works at. Carlos Pacheco's beautiful art through here. And it's this young girl named Jean, and she's a waitress. And this is how she comes back. Not as a waitress, but when you get to issue 5, you'll see how she comes back. And during this time, again, it's Old Man Logan. And it's the X-Men Gold and X-Men Blue era. And that's all I will say about that. And then we get issue 11, beautifully mapped, of Jean Grey. And let's get to the extras. So the extras, we do have the variant covers, done mostly in thumbnail size. And there's quite a few of these. Except I don't think I've ever seen, the trading card variant. It's from Jean Grey 4. Oh, okay. That's where it comes from. And the Phoenix Resurrection variant, of course. And there is your Phoenix Resurrection by Art Germ. And then your end sheets. So let's look at the binding. 1,352 pages. Look at that big eye. If you were to tell me that this was an iMac printer a year ago, I would have been like, no, that's not an iMac eye. As a matter of fact, the paper stock they use, this is how I know it's different. There's still bleed through, and don't get me wrong, just like there is in Donley printers. But the paper stock they're using nowadays at the iMac printer, At times, I thought I had 2 pages. You know how sometimes you think you're flipping over 2 pages because it's just so thick? That's how thick this is compared to the way that it used to be at the iMac printer. And I don't know if that means anything to you, if you've been collecting these type of books for the last 10 years, 20 years, or you just started collecting last month. Probably doesn't mean anything to you. But if you've been collecting for a few years, you know that the iMac printer had used thin paper stock. But no, it's like this thicker, glossy paper stock. It almost feels a little thicker than what the Donnelly printer's using. And you saw that eye, so very minimal gutter loss happening. But that's what Phoenix, the Death and Rebirth of Jean Grey Omnibus is. That's how it's mapped. And I guess on your shelf, you could just put it under Phoenix or your X-Men titles. That's where I'm keeping it, towards the end of my X-Men titles, because it's a solo title. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this omnibus, don't forget to check out our sponsors. BD Cosmos, the Canadian leader in graphic novels. They have a physical storefront in Montreal, Quebec, and their website, bdcosmos.com, offers 25% off your order of over $99 or more, and free shipping everywhere in Canada for every order of $250 or more.
Their shipping care is exceptional. Your books will stay cozy through the rough Canadian weather and arrive to you in near mint condition.
After checkout, let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way, and you'll be added to the monthly $25 gift card raffle. Entries are valid for new and returning customers.
Don't be afraid to call or email them. Ask them questions. Their staff is always happy to help guide you towards the right purchase. Visit their website, bdcosmos.com, for more. BD Cosmos, with rewards and raffles taking care of customers in Canada. Eh?
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content and page count and build of this omnibus edition. In the comments down below, let me know if you have picked up the previous 2 volumes and this is the way you want to collect the not just Jean Grey, the Phoenix stories. And if you want to see more standalone characters from X-Men get their omnis, like Gambit, like Storm, which is really due for one, Rogue, or Professor X, whoever your favorite character is. Gold Balls? Yeah, sure, whatever. Gold Balls. Why the hell did I go with Gold Balls? Anyway, whatever character you want to get a standalone omnibus from X-Men, or I guess Avengers, or any other team. But that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Smash that like button on the way out. Stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.